Recording.
Hello, my name is Alicia Pence, and I was in a group with Emma Hyde, Jan Lorente, Katrina Perrin, and Nicole Soriano. Together, we decided to research the effects of vaping in adolescents within the United States. Vaping is currently one of the most significant harmful habits affecting adolescents nationwide. This research, this research asks, does discussing the negative impacts of vape use with high school aged adolescents in the United States reduce the likelihood of vaping? The research process entailed an online search on three main databases: PubMed, Cochrane, and JAMA. These three have reliable articles covering a wide range of public health issues, including vaping. We chose this topic as we realize that adolescent vaping is becoming a major public health concern in today's society. All three studies have found that exposure to advertisements or information about the harmful impacts of vaping was more effective in reducing vaping among adolescents than messaging focusing on addiction. Two studies, studies 1 and 3, established a lower susceptibility and negative view of vaping after exposure to the real cost vaping prevention ads. Similarly, the second study found that warnings about harms related to chemicals, lungs, and COVID-19 discouraged vaping. Here, the outcomes applied to a diverse population, meaning that demographic and socioeconomic factors had an insignificant impact on the results. These findings show that understanding the dangers beyond addiction has better prevention outcomes than general health messages. I'm going to pass it to Emma, who's going to present the first reference for us.
Thank you, Alicia. Reference 1 is a level 2 group A randomized controlled trial. Participants were 543 U.S. adolescents ages 13 to 17. In an online experiment, they randomized participants to either watch persuasive e-cigarette prevention video ads from the FDA's, the Real Cost campaign that was targeted to adolescents, or information-only e-cigarette harms control videos. So that was their control group. Participants in each group viewed 2 videos in random order before being surveyed on their perceptions about vaping. So the FDA's, their results were the FDA's real cost ads led to higher beliefs about the harms of vaping, more negative attitudes towards vaping, and lower intentions to vape compared to the control videos. So exposure to the real cost vaping prevention ads gave adolescents a more negative view of vaping and lowered their intentions to vape compared to control videos. So some of the strengths of this survey was the large sample size of the 543 participants. The study was also randomized and it had a control group. However, some of the critiques of this study include the parents' consent to take the survey, which could influence how the adolescents respond due to fear that their parents would be able to see the results. This trial was also a convenience sample where 80% of the participants were white, which showed a lack of diversity in the sample. And then I'm going to pass it off to Jay-Ann, and she's going to introduce reference number 2.
So reference number 2 is titled The Identified Promising Themes for Adolescent Vaping Warnings, a National Experiment, which was found through NCBI. It is a level 2 group A randomized controlled trial experiment that consisted of 623 adolescents that range from the ages of 13 to 17 years old. Participants were randomized into one of 5 different warning themes, which includes the COVID-19 harm, lung harm, chemical harm, nicotine addiction, and the control group. The control group consisted of a message about the effects of disposing vaping devices in the environment. And each individual in their randomized group watched 3 text-based warning messages using casual languages. The casual languages was one of the study's strengths, as it was able to increase the compatibility between the themes and also enhance the understanding of the warning text. Afterwards, participants answered a survey about the perceived message effectiveness as the study's primary outcome, as well as the negative effect, the attention, social interaction, and message novelty. The study also asked about their demographics and also whether others in their home have experience with smoking or vaping. One weakness we discovered is that among the participants, majority of the adolescents were white, consisting of 65% of the participants, in comparison to Black or African Americans with 16%, Asian with 4%, and Native Americans with only 1% of participants. And to talk about the synthesis, Nicole is going to talk about it.
All right, so after Jayan's level and quality of included evidence of her reference, we found that COVID-19 had the highest rating, as well as on attention to negative effect and social interactions, while nicotine and the control had the lowest. Results did not substantially differ due to socioeconomic or demographic factors due to the lack of diversity in the study. Although the study were mostly consisted of white adolescents, which was 65%, the results showed a potential that warnings about health effects of vaping can have a significant impact on adolescents across diverse populations if the study had an equal amount of participants of each diverse group. And so I'll be passing it to Katrina to talk about our third reference.
Hi. Similarly to Emma's presentation, the real cost vaping prevention advertisements, this third reference focused on the reduction of susceptibility to vaping by viewing these advertisements compared with the control videos. The study of the impact of vaping prevention advertisements on US adolescents was a level 2 group A, 3-group random control trial. This study had a total of 1,514 adolescents ages 13 to 17 years old, with 65.6% regularly vaped. Adolescents were randomized into one of 2 real cost vaping prevention trial groups. One was the health harms and the other the addiction theme advertisements. The third was the control group who viewed neutral videos about vaping. They were all surveyed on their health harm beliefs and attitude towards vaping and cigarette use over the course of 4 weeks. Overall, adolescents who were exposed to the real cost vaping and smoking prevention advertisements showed a decrease in vaping susceptibility with a p-value of less than 0.001 at week 4 of the exposure to the advertisements compared to the control group. Adolescents in the real cost groups also had fewer days vape per week compared to the control group by the end of the study, with a p-value of less than 0.03. This study showed insight on the effects of vaping prevention campaigns among adolescents in the US. In addition, by week 4, retention reported by the participants was at 91%. Some of the strengths of this study was the large number of participants, and the study also followed the guidelines for reporting randomized control trial, known as the Consolidated Standards of Reporting. A few critiques of this study was by presenting a structured exposure to vaping prevention ads to the adolescents kind of differed from the real world exposure they would get and experience they would naturally run into. And of course, the short 4-week study period. In addition, the trial included self-reporting of their tobacco use. I'm going to pass it over to Nicole, who is going to discuss the recommendations for practice.
So after thorough research, we found that showing advertisements to adolescents led to an increase in beliefs of health harm, a negative attitude towards vaping, and a decrease in the likelihood of vape usage. As a group, we recommend that advertisements about the effects of vaping should be shown to high school students as well as middle school students, since it is rapidly becoming a public health problem among adolescents. We want to use these ads to discourage the likelihood of adolescents using vapes and also educate them on the health consequences of using a vape in the long run. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you.